You've got to be kidding me. After possibly the most positive race of the decade, you had Chase Elliott hold off Martin Truex Jr. for his first career win in the NASCAR Cup Series. It was in front of a sellout crowd. It was televised on NBC. And it also had some spectacular racing on a road course. Drivers were making right turns, and everything was going positive for NASCAR after this great race at Watkins Glen. And all that positive energy was taken away when it was announced on Monday morning that NASCAR CEO Brian France was arrested for DUI charges. A part of the description, Brian France blew past a stop sign, intoxicated and possessing oxycodone while driving past the Hamptons in New York. He was pulled over around 7:30 p.m. Sunday evening, and then he later spent the night in county jail. To make matters worse, Brian France looked absolutely horrible in his mugshot, and you could tell he was on drugs. And in addition, he name-dropped every single famous person to try to get himself off the hook, including now President Donald Trump. And you wonder why NASCAR is ridiculed so many times. You wonder why every single time after you see that stupid stereotype, oh, NASCAR is just a bunch of rednecks driving in circles, oh, all drunk, stupid, low IQ. Well, there you go. Brian France, the CEO, the head of NASCAR, does that. And what do you know? All those people are coming out from the hills and are once again making fun of NASCAR. This is an absolute joke, an absolute embarrassment to the sport of NASCAR.
Very interesting event.
To see such a positive outcome, to see such a positive race for the sport get tarnished and trashed by Brian France and ridiculing all those stereotypes, this is absolutely terrible for the sport. Now look, I stated recently that I was going to leave out some of the rage in my future videos, and technically this is my first video of the new series, but this one's kind of a lone exception, so I'll probably rage kind of half and half, because with all the differing opinions in the NASCAR community, there is one thing we can all agree on. Brian France is an utter moron. He should have been taken out as CEO years ago. And no, it wasn't just the arrest. It's been multiple scenarios and enforcements as the head of NASCAR. The constant rule changes and the gimmicks this guy has created to enhance the racing. The over-manipulation of the chase playoff format, and the way he talks about the sport being in great health, even though he is never seen at races or addressing the media. Anyone with either a good understanding of the sport or an IQ over 5 knows this guy's an idiot. Thanks to Brian France, NASCAR officially has the most dirt on its hands of any sport. Yeah, more than the NFL by far. And it is at the crossroads now in 2018. Unlike a lot of the other Brian France videos, let's go over the past. Let's go over all the things Brian France has done to get us in this position, to why we don't want him as CEO. And no, it wasn't just because of the DUI arrest. It's been an entire legacy of being in charge. Example 1 lies with the car of tomorrow. The current car when Brian France inherited the sport back in 2003 was the Generation 4 stock car. It featured a front valance, a higher quarter panel, and a decent-sized spoiler. While the car was less of a win on Sunday, sell on Monday type, it still produced some great racing and the fans mostly supported the model. In 2007, however, NASCAR implemented the car of tomorrow to debut during the 2008 season. It distanced itself completely from grassroots, and the COT was a car on drugs. Makes more sense now that we've heard the latest news. The car featured a cutting-edge splitter with braces attached to it. Absolutely wonderful idea, isn't it? Looking at today, oh, what a genius idea. Included with the car was also a rear-end spoiler. Wait, this isn't open-wheel racing. This is NASCAR stock car racing. Stock cars are never meant to have rear spoilers. What on earth? The only positive about the car was the safety enhancements, even though they could have easily enforced those same enhancements on the Gen 4 car. As a result, the car produced some boring single-file racing, and it created air bubbles between the vehicles. It also got rid of some of the true stock car fans in the process. Kyle Busch summed up this car perfectly in his Bristol winning interview after the first race with the COT.
I'm still not a very big fan of these things. I can't stand to drive them.
2016, Brian France endorses then candidate Donald Trump for President of the United States. Now let me get this out of the way. I have nothing against Donald Trump by any means. He isn't doing a terrible job like everyone wants you to believe, and he is far from the worst president in U.S. history. For the sake of the channel and staying out of politics, I'll put it at that. With that said, however, endorsing possibly the most hated presidential candidate in U.S. history as the CEO of a declining sport is not good business. As the head of a company, it is your job, your opportunity to promote your brand, your ideas, and your skills to as many people and companies as you possibly can. Endorsing any political candidate basically makes one side feel unwelcome and uncomfortable towards that company, or in that case, the sport of NASCAR. Take a look for yourself at all these lost fans and imagine how TV ratings and attendance numbers would look like with these watchers still supporting the sport. Oh yeah, one more thing. Marcus Lemonis almost pulled Camping World sponsorship out of NASCAR because of the endorsement. Nice job, Brian France. NASCAR is now as divisive as the NFL in terms of political views. Way to go. Absolutely a genius idea to get the most fans that you possibly can. Last but not least, all of the constant chase and playoff format changes. My gosh. Since the start of the chase format being adopted by NASCAR in 2004, it has been tampered with a total 4 times. We had the classic points reset format where 10 drivers were spread out evenly. And then we had the 2007 format where we had 12 drivers and now wins count as bonus points. We had the old 2011-2013 format where now we had 2 wildcard drivers enter the chase field by winning a race. And then in 2014 came a legendary win and you're in format. And then in 2017, now we have stage points. I mean, come on, pick a format and stick to it.
Perfect season.
Toying with the format is just going to make it feel like a gimmick. It's going to lose you tons of fans down the road. And what do you know? Look at TV ratings, which we will get to in a little bit. It has declined drastically to this moron Brian France. I guarantee you guys, by 2020, we will have another new points format for the playoffs.
We're going to add a 13th position to the field, and Jeff Gordon will qualify for the championship this year, Sprint Cup Championship.
Also, not to mention the controversy back in 2013 with Spingate. Yes, Brian France totally didn't add Jeff Gordon in as the 13th driver to the chase field because he was indeed a marketable name. Oh, no, not at all. And looking at it now, this was an absolute gimmick that should have never taken place. What NASCAR should have done instead with all this controversy, all these scandals, was to add a 27th race to the regular season. Just like in the movie Cars and in Major League Baseball, with such tiebreakers, we would see another game determine the outcome of who would make the 12-driver playoffs and who would be out. It would have given Martin Truex Jr. a chance to re-earn his chase spot via a win and to see whether Joey Logano or Jeff Gordon would earn that 10th and final chase spot on points. Instead, Brian France just thought, okay, throw out Truex, add Newman, keep Logano, keep Boyer maybe. Oh yeah, we'll also throw in Gordon. It was an absolutely lazy cop-out direction, and it caused more fans to leave in the masses. You look at so many fans are going to point to the 2013 Spingate as why they aren't watching the sport today and why they're laughing at it instead of supporting it. An easy situation to resolve was turned into NASCAR's version of D-Day. Ever since Brian France took charge of NASCAR back in 2003, the sport has went from an absolute juggernaut to now possibly the laughingstock of all sports. Before Brian France became CEO of the NASCAR Cup Series, the Daytona 500 was one of the most popular events in all of sports, along with the Super Bowl. The 2006 Daytona 500 reached an all-time high 11.3 rating, with the race airing in front of over 19.4 million eyeballs. Flash forward to 2018, the Daytona 500 earned a 5.1 rating, tying the 2018 NBA All-Star Game for most watched sporting event of the weekend. Keyword tie. Back in 2011, they scored an 8.2 rating compared to a 6.2 rating for the NBA All-Star Game. In addition, we've also seen attendance as it has dipped drastically since he became the head guy in charge. Remember when Bristol used to have a wait list to get tickets? Remember that? Bristol is lucky to get a decent 30,000 for the spring race and over 100,000 for the night race. Charlotte Motor Speedway, NASCAR's home track, used to have seats on the backstretch and entering turn 3. Flash forward to today, they can't even sell out the front stretch grandstands that were reduced to an estimated 70,000 seats. Back before Brian France, we would see tracks like Chicagoland, Las Vegas, Pocono, Michigan, and Kansas. They were easy sellouts, and the speedways couldn't build grandstands fast enough. Today, it's the game of, who can tear them down the fastest? And so far, Richmond Raceway is the clear winner in tearing down grandstands. It is absolutely pathetic looking at the stands for Cup Series qualifying in 2004, and they look better than a lot of the Cup races today. An absolute joke. Not to mention the last insulting piece to the NASCAR fans and the sport in general, just Brian France himself. The sun is more likely to turn purple than to see Brian France attend a NASCAR race. Tony Stewart is right. You never see Brian France active in the garage. You never see him talk about potential improvements to the sport. He says, everything's just fine. There's absolutely nothing. We're happy where we are. No improvements at all. And you rarely see him engage with the media and the fans. And when he does, he shoots down ideas to improve the sport of NASCAR, specifically the flawed schedule. Oh no, we cannot add Eldora to the schedule by any means. You know why? It's because we have to have garbage races in Pocono, Michigan, Kentucky, and Indianapolis. We have absolutely no room to improve the current schedule. We've also heard him yap about how sponsors are joining NASCAR at an alarming rate. Oh yeah, it's not like Lowe's, 5 Hour Energy, Target, Dr. Pepper, Hulu, Aspen Dental, Subway, TaxAct, Farmers Insurance, Great Clips, LiftMaster, Cheerios, Kellogg's, Sprint, Dollar General, D-Tech, 3M, Quicken Loans, Aaron's, GoDaddy, Aflac, National Guard, The Home Depot, Best Buy, Office Depot, U.S. Army, Tums, Little Debbie, BB&T, Old Spice, Best Western, Scott's Ortho, Crown Royal, Gillette, Coors Light, Reese's, Altel, AT&T, Holiday Inn, DirecTV, Sharpie, and Viagra have left the sport within the last 10 years. Brian France by no means cares about NASCAR, the teams, and making it a well-respected organization. He is just like Stan Kroenke and Eddie Lampert. He only cares about the money, the dime, and the dollar. Only cares about making an extra buck off of TV deals, events at ISC tracks, and other random excursions from the sport. The latest drug overdose is just the latest fallout. He does not care whatsoever that the failures are going to damage NASCAR. Not one bit. NASCAR responded to the news by instating Jim France as the interim CEO of NASCAR. Keyword interim. Most likely NASCAR will reinstate Brian France as CEO status or even elsewhere in the company. In fact, this incident wasn't even the first time Brian France ran into legal issues. Back in 2006, France drove a car into a tree after going through a restaurant parking lot. Mr. France's excuse was, oh, he was just drinking a soda and then he bumped into something. Witnesses say otherwise. So more than likely, I would expect Brian France back as NASCAR CEO by the end of August, maybe even sooner. We cannot let this happen. And so far, the NASCAR community, especially the YouTube community, have fought Brian France with full force, and we must keep applying that pressure. The mighty have fallen under this clown of a CEO, and it is time for a change for the absolute better. Anyways, this is NASCAR Racing Fan 2015 signing out, and just remember, life's a beach, and then you drive.
Okay, all right. All-star race location.